So what can you use AI for?
This is CampHacker. Come find our show notes and our blog for camp directors and leaders at camphacker.tv.
Running camp comes with enough moving parts. UltraCamp keeps registration, payments, and communication in one place so you can spend less time juggling systems and more time building an incredible camp experience. Learn more at ultracamp management.com/camphacker. Hello, Camp Mavericks, and welcome to the CampHacker podcast, brought to you by UltraCamp and the Resilient Camp Blueprint Diagnostic. My name is Travis Allison. I am a summer camp consultant specializing in helping camps to reclaim their staff time, build resilience, and reignite their purpose.
Hi, everyone. My name is Chris Hudson. I'm also a camp consultant, and I partner with camps to be a thought partner to make sure that everyone who attends the camp, children, family, and staff, are accepted no matter who they are.
And my name is Kate Taylor. My pronouns are she, her, and I am also a camp consultant, though my main client at the moment is the Brome Lake Boating Club, where I'm acting as interim executive director. My camp consulting skills are in graphic design as well as management consultation.
And so, Kate, you're the practical experience person on this because your interim executive director is now entering into its fourth year?
Yep, third year, yeah.
Interim.
Interim.
Well, we're grateful to have you back on CampHacker, Kate. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So this show comes out of the last show where we were talking about the resilience diagnostic and some of the interesting perspectives that come out of that report. And one of the things, and I wish I hadn't specifically said AI in that report. It said AI a lot. What I really meant to, and what I meant it to say was that using whatever tools are available to make the job of being camp director easier. I believe that AI makes this job a lot easier and that more people should be doing it so that they are freed up to have time and space to be creative, think big picture, and care for the people in front of them. And so I thought, since Chris, who also talks about AI quite a lot, said, and what should camps use AI for? I thought, well, let's then dig into it. It's 2026. We've done an AI show every year. And
I think we did two last year.
Sorry?
I think we did two last year. So
maybe we need a permanent, less nerdy co-host, Chris, that can push us on to less nerdy topics than you and I.
So true.
Also, the three of us could talk for hours about role-playing games and other fun games.
Oh, snap.
So,
board games, big fan. Legos. You're not going to get less nerdy with me. You'll just get a different vector of nerdy.
Sorry, audience. This is going to be the nerdiest in a while. But seriously, I think the opening question was exactly what I said last episode. Like, what can you use it for?
Yeah.
So I'm excited to have this discussion because Travis, if you don't know, is AI rah rah rah. It's he uses it for everything. So that's his perspective. I don't know what to use it for. Kate, where do you come in on this AI thing?
I am Natalie Imbruglia. I am torn.
Oh, God.
Genuinely, yes, it's a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B. I really see a lot of value in certain AI tools and certain use cases, but as a graphic designer, obviously there's a lot of people on my feed that are talking about the dangers of generative AI, especially when it comes to art stuff. And it means a loss of revenue in the industry for people like me who are trying to do graphic design for people. And they're like, well, I can just push a button and it'll generate what I want it to do. Yes, it will. But will it be as nice? Probably not.
Right. No, it won't.
Yeah. And then there's also a lot of stuff on my feed is sort of more of the left-wing variety of content where it's talking about, again, the consumption of AI and the dangers of overuse and reliance on these data centers and the environmental impact and all these things. It's hard to sort of like ethically align with like, yes, there are some things that I think we should be using AI for. There's other things that the larger world as a whole needs to stop using AI for.
So in the sort of pre-discussion that Kate and I had this morning, Kate said, "I'm not prepared to come in and say AI is all good." And I like, please don't. I welcome the challenge. My thesis is that if we can get boring stuff off people's plates, they can be creative and fulfilled camp directors.
Absolutely.
And I acknowledge that my whole life is just I keep trying to not make my life focused on camp and the camp industry, and it never works. So I see that. I acknowledge that there are definitely problems and there's going to be massive shakeups. And I've been saying for years on these shows about AI that I am almost more worried about AI's impact on our families and their ability to earn money and pay for camp than I am on its impact on us being able to accomplish more and help more kids because we have time and space and energy for that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Chris, thinky face.
No, I'm wrestling with something you said, Kate, because I read an article yesterday. Was it about AI? Yeah, it was about ChatGPT. People are switching to Anthropic's Claude, and because for a variety of reasons, ChatGPT donated a lot of money to Trump and the powers that be in America that continue to make this place more fascist. And this was a Reddit post, someone made a really good point, and I've been noodling on it all day. In a capitalist system, we exist as customers, and our choices are negligible.
Yeah.
Because everyone gives money to everyone all the time for everything. But when you mentioned the environmental impact, that did give me pause, because that is something, even though the first thing I said is true, it does give me pause because I do care about the environment. I do care. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's true. But so my first thought was like, oh, as an industry, since like camp is about the outdoors and most camps are about the outdoors and the environment and being responsible about it, does using AI like ethically interfere with the values that a lot of camps hold dear? And if that's true, maybe we don't use it. But, and this is the thing, are we going to fall behind? Or as the world becomes more complicated, are we going to handle the flood of that? Everyone will be using AI. Everyone's lives will be getting easier, right? Everyone, if that means everyone is going to relate to everything differently, including camp. And if we aren't on the boat, I just feel like we might get left behind. And camping already has so many things that we struggle to move against and reverse. And it's just going to be one more. In summary, I have my reservations too, Kate, but I'm not so sure they matter.
Well, that's the thing, right? It's like I am still using AI for the things that I find it useful for. I am trying to make a conscious effort not to do the unnecessary AI participation. I definitely never participate in the trendy things of create your avatar as this or whatever. Like I said, the art piece is really something that means a lot for me, but I'm not going to stop using it to take the headache off of my plate of here's all the staff that I have to put into a schedule. Where do I puzzle piece them in when I can just go to whatever Chat GPT or Claude or whatever and say, I need 14 shifts. I have 17 staff to fill them, make the schedule, go. Like that took 5 minutes for that to do, where it would have taken me easily hours to play with all those puzzle pieces. Likewise with like any kind of like data analysis where I just want to tell it, okay, here's my dump of information. This is what I'm looking for to tell me why this is important. Bleh. And then I can come back to my board and say, here's what this has spit out and that kind of thing. Or I'm having a struggle with writer's block on like, how do I write this email that I have to be super polite to this parent about, but I'm really mad. I can just throw in all of my anger into the AI box and say, please make this sound polite and professional.
Translate it. Yeah.
And I like, I don't have to, rack my brain or like calm my emotions. I can just have the computer do it for me. Those are the kinds of things that I'm using it for, certainly.
Yep.
But like it's like you're saying, Chris, it's my use is a drop in the bucket. The overarching concerns are not something that I, as an individual consumer, or a camp as an individual organization, can make significant change on. It has to be a massive societal shift. It has to be the big corporations that make the decision to change what they're doing with it. And there's only so far that a boycott is going to go on that.
Exactly.
It's disappointing. And that's kind of the world we're living in right now, is like, I am one person, what can I do? Versus I still need to keep up with capitalism as it exists right now. You kind of have to play within the framework to some extent, and put your impact and your energies towards the impacts where you can.
I want to answer Travis, but yeah, I want you to go first because I'm going to shift the topic a bit. Go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, I want to just sort of acknowledge and address a couple of the very valid and important points, and then I do want to talk about practical, like, even despite all those valid and important points, I want to talk about practical uses.
For sure.
So maybe that's not fair to both of you that I'm pushing for that angle, but anyway, I find, and I worry about, that as an industry, we tend to adopt technology pretty late in the cycle. And I remember, I'm old enough to have people have actually yelled at me for having a computer at camp when I was the full-time year-round camp director. I also remember when social media came out, and there were camps sort of like, we won't hire staff if you're on social media.
And now it's the opposite.
Yeah.
Yep. Including a camp that Kate used to work at. And all of those things have come around. And so I think we use the tools given to us. The other thing is the environmental impact of this. I think it's going to have some environmental impact of it, but it's not quite as bad as we've been told. So a lot of the stuff about this is the environmental impact, or this much of it working for 2 minutes uses up this much energy. A lot of that is now based on a flawed and retracted one single paper, scientific paper that was flawed and has since been retracted, but everybody's kind of stuck on it uses this much. And the second source for that is Google, who is a big AI company, obviously, but they have said that the cost per use have been cut to 1% of what they were 3 years ago through a whole bunch just optimization. Like, they are working, they don't want this to cost that much money, which includes the water and heat and electrical inputs and outputs either, because that's bad for their bottom line. So that's just a couple of things before we get into whatever it was that Chris had saved up and wanted to ask or say.
I'm doing an experiment right now, but you know what I'm thinking about AI? I was thinking about families using AI, and AI could be used as the back office at camps. It's great. But then I was like, wait a minute. Can I just type into AI, create a 60-minute training sessions about microaggressions and inclusion? And am I going to be out of a job? The thing is like, as far as consultants are concerned, we always tell people to hire people. They know stuff. Well, these AIs are sweeping the internet. They know everything. They know everything I know. They've read everything that I've read. They know all the tricks and tools that I use when I'm consulting with people. And now I'm putting this together for the first time. This would really make a dent for consultants, because as I'm watching, the AI is actually spitting it out and breaking down minute by minute what I should say. And it did that in the time it took me from when I started talking to right now. And as far I know everyone's listening. It's like, but I'm not a consultant. This is so self-serving. But but I mean, is it true? Is it still true that people should hire consultants? Because I'm not going to say it's the same thing, because having a human there is definitely different. But that's true about a lot of things we use it for, right? I'm just wondering, and it's a way to cut costs. I need to stop giving people ideas. I'm gonna stop right here.
The whole problem with these podcasts. We keep on giving
Yeah,
away our
I'm
ideas
gonna
for
stop
free,
right
and
there.
then they don't hire us. Yeah, yeah. But I mean,
But seriously,
that's something
what parts
where,
of the camp world are going to be stressed at best or eliminated at worst because of this thing? And should we care about that?
well, I mean, I think the thing that the camp industry has going for it anyway is that it's a people industry. One of the reasons why we're so slow to adopt technology is because technology can't
People first.
replace
People
what we're
first.
doing. Like you're not going to be able to not hire as many counselors because you can hire an AI to be a counselor. That's never going to happen. And as far as like year-round staff go, there's so many organizations that are a skeleton crew of a director and an administrator or one single body who is trying to do all of the things in the back end that like you still need somebody who's going to punch the information into the AI in order to get the
Yeah.
data out. It's not like you can just sit a generative robot behind the screen and it's going to do all of the things that are required to run a camp. I do think that like reducing the mental load of those people who are in those jobs is an asset that AI can bring because like there's so much burnout at our level of the industry. Like there's a reason why so many of us are shifting towards consultant roles instead of
Yeah.
staying as camp directors because like
Mm-hmm.
I can't do the job full time without a break every now and then. Like I need to be able to take an emotional step back and
Mm-hmm.
not like define myself by my camp director persona. And on the AI side of things, like my company can't afford to pay 3 employees to do all the work that I need to do. I still need to get the job done. And if something's going to help me write all my emails in 5 seconds, I'm going to use it. So
Yeah.
like it's on the consultant side, I think that like maybe there's something to be said in general for like how the world needs to shift as we adopt AI use for, what are we doing as jobs? Like what are we hiring people for? What are we choosing as employment opportunities? Everyone's going to have to pivot to some extent, but like I'm a big proponent of like stop using AI for artistic purposes. Let people be artists, pay people to do the like the free thinking, pay someone to come in and consult with you on like auditing your organization and telling you, okay, well, this is what I see that you need to work on because XYZ. An AI is not going to necessarily be able to do that kind of, you know, on-site recognition of what's going on, where are your problem points, where are your frictions, that kind of thing. That needs to be more of a conversation, I think. And, maybe AI is going to replace those consultants who focus on, here's a training I can deliver, because it's a more affordable to say, Claude or whoever, write me a training on this particular niche subject.
Mm-hmm.
But that just means that we as consultants need to pivot what we're offering. Like this is a
Yeah.
different service that I'm going to offer because I can do it better as a human than what AI is going to do. And there's still the delivery of the training that, you're not going
Yeah.
to sit your staff member down and say, read this output, and they're going
Yeah.
to all of a sudden know how to deal with microaggressions.
Mm-hmm.
They need to be able to ask questions back and forth. They need to be able to have situations and scenarios. They need to do some role playing. There's still a facilitator aspect that,
True.
if you just get AI to spit you out a training session, you're not necessarily going to know how to deliver it as a camp
Mm-hmm.
director.
Mm-hmm. No, I hear that. I'm now fantasizing about all the different ways that we could use this. And I don't know if AI can work this way, but it's getting easier to program, right, Travis?
Mhm.
Travis, you build custom GPTs.
Unbelievably easier.
It's
Unbelievably.
yeah.
So this actually, are you ready? Shift gears. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is part of it, and I think things have radically changed in 2026. Starting around
Mhm.
Christmas, there's a lot of whispers about what AI is capable of in helping individuals accomplish more. And it kind of starts with tech programming, but it really is at the point that if you're willing to ask it how to do things, it'll tell you how to set itself up to do lots of different things. so I have stuff running in the background now all the time. I'm like on a call. I set up this Claude to work on its own, and I go away and have a call, and I come back, and it has stuff to report to me. Like one of the things that happened like 3 days ago was Claude going through all this stuff with me, and all of a sudden it says, "You just point me at the file, and I'll work on this. You go do stuff. I'll let you know when I'm done." Um, and so I think that has lots of potential for the drudgery of this job, and for the chance to have the sort of a thinking partner. And I think that's I think we're kind of, the world is kind of stuck on, this is a fancy Google answer machine, but where it gets really interesting is do a job for me, and or help me think something through, or coach me through this problem. And all of those, I think, get exponential results along the way. So if I was a camp director today, the first thing I would be doing at the beginning of the year, when I was finishing staff interviews or thick of staff interviews, is that I would do as camp director what I've done as a consultant, which is when I finish with a Zoom call, Claude takes my transcripts of my calls, formats them into notes, my format of coaching call notes, and preps an email for me. And so if I was a camp director, every staff interview, it would give me a report, and I would have put into it, here's the characteristics that we're looking for. I would have spent some time with Claude, in this case, saying, here's the characteristics we're looking for in an interview. How do we get that out of a Zoom call? When this is people's first interview, when it's on Zoom and not in person, like what are some creative ways to help people feel comfortable, etc. And then I would have it look at the transcripts or listen to the audio of the thing, and pull out some of those stuff so that I have a grading. And then I would also have it ask me, the interviewer, questions like what were some of those things. And that would all go into a file so that my team could see for every interview, we have the same rubric of person for hiring for a particular position. And we'd have a comparison of some of those things. So there's like 3 different uses just in staff hiring that would take stuff off of the plate. And then once people are hired, I would have gone through sort of a brainstorming coaching session with Claude. Again, could be ChatGPT, but I'm trying to move off of ChatGPT for whatever moral reasons, that I'm probably failing a tenth as much in Claude, but still failing. And be like, okay, how do we actually communicate with young adults today? What's effective communication? And how do we put stuff together so that they'll pay attention to it? How do we make this so that the way we communicate develops more trust with us between now and the summer? And how do we cut down on the number of people that say yes now, but then don't show up? And how do we have staff show up at camp more competent and confident in the job? And great, we set up, this is all the things that we want. Here are our particular values as a camp, and then give me a plan. And then I've got a copy and paste plan that I can go through.
Yeah. And then
that to me is hours and hours of work. Exclusive for CampHacker listeners, grab UltraCamp's free guide, The Parent Experience Checklist. Practical steps to simplify registration and keep families coming back. Download at ultracampmanagement.com/CampHacker. Parents don't want clunky processes, and you don't want constant phone calls. UltraCamp helps you simplify registration with mobile-friendly forms, offer payment plans that work for your families, reduce calls and emails with automated reminders, and keep parents engaged with built-in communication tools. UltraCamp helps you create smooth, stress-free parent interactions so your team can focus on camp, not customer service. Learn more at ultracampmanagement.com/CampHacker.
I was thinking, writing a staff manual is a weekend of work, but not anymore, because a lot of those topics are stayed. What I mean by that is like emergency protocol. You know, an AI can come up with an emergency protocol. I don't have to type it all out myself. I love the way that it will save all the time. The back office stuff really intrigues me. Full stop, actually. Full stop. I thought
Yeah.
there was going to be more, but I think my mind is kind of going. The back office stuff is very intriguing. Some of the communication stuff is very intriguing to me, although I can understand why. I think this is just my opinion. I do think it's weird because we are a people first industry that when the parents contact you, a robot responds. That's just me though.
Hmm.
I feel like it's a mismatch of a product, but I understand that it could be really super helpful.
Well, and one of the things my girlfriend was working for an AI company, and so they were learning a whole bunch of new interesting
Mhm.
like models for what AI could be used for. And I haven't looked into this in detail. I'll tell you that right now. But
Mm.
every single thing that I would be talking about, like what I needed to do for my job, that was like step A, step B, step whatever, they would
Mhm.
be like, my friend blah 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 can create you an agentic workflow for that. And I'm like, I don't know what an agentic workflow is, but like apparently there are things that programmers can type in and they can like automate all kinds of different things. So like, I have my interview with staff member Jonah, and then the agentic workflow, I hit a button and it's going to be like, okay, you're going to capture these documents from Jonah, and then you're going to make him a contract offer, and then you're going to send him that, and then you're going to send him the policies and procedures, and you could blah, 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 like automate that whole process of like the onboarding documents and the pestering them to finish their onboarding documents, and the
Yeah.
Mhm.
creating him a plan for how he's going to get his certifications in order by the summer and all those kind of things. So like this is what I understand of what an agentic workflow does. I
Agreed.
have not played with it yet. So,
But and also you could set that up so it's like at a certain point through this process with a staff member, if we start to lose responses
hmm.
from them, then you ping me and I'll jump
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
But when I think about how camps, my whole career has been so far to date been built on how camps communicate with parents. And I will
Mhm.
tell you, it's not very good. But if I can do the research to set up a format, a framework for how we do get better at teaching parents, and I can give that to my clients, communicating with parents, and I give that to my clients, then they have the tools to do the job easier and more effective. Same with
Mhm.
young adults today. Like, how do we set up a good communication structure? Like, I can have AI write me a staff handbook, but what an agentic workflow would be me saying, I want to rewrite our staff handbook. I want you to do the research on how to present information in an effective way to young adults
Hmm.
and what I need to do to reinforce that. And then create a tool that will evaluate other staff handbooks, including our own, and offer suggestions. And then let's pull all that together. That could happen in the background. And that's
Mhm.
the agentic means the computer does its stuff on its own after you work through a plan with it. So that's the scheduling piece. Like
Yeah.
once we get 50 kids session, program requests for the activities they want to do, then start to put that into a schedule and then present it back to me when you're done. I know a
Hmm.
camp that last year, huge camp, 300 staff and like 1,000 kids, and each one of those kids their parents could pick an individual schedule for each one of those kids, not the schedule but the activities that each one of those kids individually could do.
Hmm.
And this is a 24-hour job to put together staff, their days off, their qualifications, the kids' requests, first priority, second priority, third priority, and we did it in 10 minutes with AI. Like, here's all the
Wow.
things, here's all the factors,
Wow. Yeah.
put it all together,
Yeah.
and then they've got the first draft of that saves them a whole person for 24 hours.
Hmm.
And so that's the possibilities. I think the things that it's the admin stuff that so much of it can be automated because so much of it is at least it at least rhymes if it doesn't sort of duplicate itself exactly.
Hmm.
There's
Mhm.
lots of similar things that you could pull on to make that work.
Yeah.
Two things. One,
Mm.
back office, yeah, but also I was just thinking programming. I was thinking like when I was a counselor and we were putting on Family Feud, having to come up with all the questions and poll everybody at the camp.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
That took 3 hours just writing the questions getting them all out. And I can totally see that in helping to set up games and activities in like new ways. The caution, of course, being in listening to you talk about, write a staff manual, et cetera, et cetera. Like I've uploaded our staff stuff to ChatGPT just so it knows what I'm talking about when I ask a question. It's like the AI slot problem. At some point, all of these materials begin to look and sound alike. As a matter of fact, I can now, just with looking at it, I know if something is written by AI or not, like definitively. And I'm sure that I miss a lot of it, but it's copying from itself. I just wonder how much longer we last where it can continue to ape uniqueness and creativity. But I am really excited about the programming piece now that I'm thinking about it.
I
That
think
like it,
even in the
it'll do
staff
things you wouldn't
manual
be able to
side
do
though,
before.
yeah,
Sorry.
even in the staff manual side though, like when it is like spitting out content for you and you're less than thrilled with perhaps the phrasing or whatever, I think that like a lot of people just struggle with the blank page problem. That's like something that authors talk about all
Yep.
the time is like just write
Yeah.
something. So sometimes like with the email example that I was using, sometimes like I know what I kind of want to say, but I'm just sitting there at my screen like staring at it and being like, how do I start? Like, dear so and so, like I don't know how to start this. Like where do I go
Mm.
from here? So something that AI has been helping me with is just like not having a blank page in front of me, or like I'm trying to come up with a bio for myself to be able to submit to a conference proposal. And I'm like, I don't know what I want to say. And this conference wants me to use 250 words, and this one wants me to use 500, and ding, 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 ding. I can just be like, okay, here's all of my details. Spit me out this parameters, and then I look at it and I'm like, well, I don't like that. But then at least it gives me something to like edit and fix and like not start from zero. And it takes less time than mulling it over and thinking it out. But yeah.
And Chris, when you talk about that, the idea of sort of regressing to the mean, like the muddy, boring middle of
Hmm.
things, that's to me as sort of like the Google example, like just write me a thing, write me a thank you letter to a donor, um,
Hmm.
is going to give you something middle of the road and boring. But if I say, write me a thank you to the donor, and here's all the research about what's an effective donor thank you letter, here's all of the stuff about how we address our community and what values are important to us. Now, write me a thank you to the donor. It's a completely different thing. The outcome's completely different.
Which
Mhm.
is bringing up a really important point that I think we should underline here. This is
Yeah.
just a tool.
Yeah.
It's just like Travis said, like understanding how to use it is the real skill. And I know everyone's
Mhm.
afraid everyone's going to be unemployed soon, but someone has to input this stuff. When you ask it to write an email for you, you got to cut and paste it, unless you're using Gemini or whatever they have on Apple. But like, that's interesting to me, right?
Mhm. Well, I think that probably like one of the non-starter issues that I think a lot of camp directors have is like this. I refer to this in my general life as pre-exhaustion. So like
Mhm. Yeah.
I am presented with a concept and I
Mhm.
think about what it would take to implement that concept. And I'm pre-exhausted just imagining all of the steps that
Yeah.
therefore come with it. And I'm like,
Absolutely
ah, it's
me.
not worth it. I'm
Out of
not going to
here.
do it. So when you're talking about like, oh, well, if you want to be able to use AI effectively in camps, you're going to be like, well, you have to do this and you have to put this in and you need to use this, blah, 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 blah. There's a lot of people that are already hesitating to use it. And now you're telling them there's like 17 pre-steps that they have to do before they are going to be able to get quality content out of it.
Hmm.
I can hear them saying, well, then why would I bother? You know? So that's where I think like if there's something that consultants potentially could be adding a value, something that Travis has been trying to do is providing like, here's some prompt stuff that you can
Hmm.
use and implement this way, or here are the things that I want you to copy and paste or dump into your AI generator before you get started so that it's not going to be coming up with content just from scraping the general web. Here's the things that you should be setting yourself up, like making it as low of a bar as possible to step over to be able to say, okay, this is what I can do to make my AI functional for me, and I'm not going to just be getting garbage out of it that I don't want to use. Because that's honestly been my main like mental block as well with AI, is that like I have not taken the time to dump a whole bunch of intelligence into it. So I'm using it for relatively basic uses because I know that like if I want something more fancy, I'm going to have to get fancier with what I give it. And I'm not there yet on doing the fancy footwork that's necessary to set it up well. So.
Yeah, I don't know why my ADHD brain will do these things that it won't do other things, but I start to see stuff that I repeat over and over again, and I think there's got to be a better way.
Mm-hmm.
And so at some point, I put together a Go Camp Pro writing style document where I threw in a bunch of our documents. I had it analyze a bunch of our writing. And that was probably 45 minutes, 2 years ago. And now I have a document that I can reuse. And every 6 months, I can just say to the AI, what you need for prompting to work is different. Rewrite this for me so it fits today. And or ask me any questions to fill out the things that you think are missing. And that kind of analyze this and ask me questions thing, I think, is really helpful. I would say my other big piece of advice for this is like, don't treat it as Google. Don't just ask it a question. Ask it to coach you through asking a better question. And then you get, it's often more detailed, but I mean, I have a thing bookmarked and saved, a custom GPT, a Claude project that is help me write a better prompt. And so I update that every 3 weeks, probably every 3 months at that, but I can just blather. It's like, I think I want to do this. And so it ends up spitting out a whole bunch of stuff in a format that makes it easier for the technology to understand versus my goofy brain. And it's much more organized and specifically focused. And no, I just plunk that in and or say, what else do you need to make this work better? And then that stuff happens. So get it to coach you through coaching it, which is remarkably meta, but also remarkably effective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've got success with asking it when I'll write out a whole prompt and I'm like, don't do it yet. What questions can you ask me that would further define the task for you? Which is great. Just on the topic of prompt design. Prompt design.
That's really interesting. See, I'm learning things already. I came on this podcast expecting to be the foil, and now I'm starting to get.
See, now you want to use AI.
Well, I want to use AI more effectively anyway. Like if I'm going to use it because it's helpful, I would love for it to be more helpful. For sure.
And just to reiterate something I said earlier, like it makes everything easier. It's kind of like the tagline. It makes everything easier. I just want to reiterate, like, it's still a skill that has to be like learned,
developed,
and practiced and developed in order to make it, do everything. Like, I think people sort of miss the forest for the trees. Yeah. No, miss the trees for the forest. Yes. You know what? It doesn't matter. It has to do with the environment, and trees and forests are involved. So deal with that.
Everyone knows what they mean.
Exactly. But yeah, I think people are being like, whew, I never have to worry about this again. I use AI to do a lot of, honestly, for my Dungeons and Dragons campaign, it does a lot of the writing. It does all of the read alouds. I just describe the scene and it puts it all the flowery writing, but it's still on me to give it the raw data, and that can never be replaced.
This feels like one of those topics where you all probably have thoughts for us. Don't at Kate. Kate's here as a guest. You can at Chris for all of this stuff. I'm much too busy and important for you to be mad at me. And no. And you can at Chris by emailing him, travis@gocamp.pro. So yes, do that, please. Yay, nay, other ideas regarding this topic, travis@gocamp.pro. Also in your phone app where you listen to podcasts, if you subscribe to us there, instead of just asking a speaker to play you the latest CampHacker, there's a spot in the description of each show where you can text us a question, an argument, etc. And we've got some good fan mail kind of stuff from there that I just want to highlight. One of the ones I saw this week was, hello, I just found the podcast today. I'm loving it on a cross-country drive home for the holidays. I would love to hear a discussion about building CIT programs, training, marketing, and communications, etc., all of which I think would help me get a really successful program. Please do more of that. All of you. Do that. Let us know what you want us to talk about, because sometimes we just are a bit stuck on what's the most helpful for the moment. And that's important to us that we get there. So thank you for your work on this topic. Let's go to our tool of the week.
Tool of the week.
Chris, what's your tool of the week?
If you're anything like me, you have things to do and you want to get them done timely and well. I've never claimed to have ADD or ADHD because I haven't been tested. I don't want to be tested because I don't want to know, but my mind does scatter and it's very difficult for me to stay on task. And something that I use is called the Pomodoro technique, which is you work for 25 minutes, you break for 5 minutes. And then it works really well. It breaks up the work. So I'm not thinking about what's next. So I was digging around, searching for a tool of the week, and I found this thing that I already bought. And if you have $20, you should buy it too. It's a rotating Pomodoro timer, and it's preset with 5, 25, 10, 30, and 60 minutes. And it sort of looks like it's like a block. It looks like a 6-sided die. You just flip it to the side. It's got markings on it, 5, 10, 15. Flip it to the side. It will automatically start timing, like counting down. All you have to do is rotate it to reset or rotate it to move it to something else. Yeah, it's something for those of you who are watching the YouTube. Yeah.
I have one of those on my desk.
So please keep modeling it as I talk about it. So, and what's great about this is that, yes, currently I use my watch, right? And you can continue to do your watch, but why not make your desk more fun? So check it out.
Well done, you two. Good coordination. That was great.
It's great. We were talking about that beforehand.
Kate, what's your tool?
So my tool of the week actually is semi-AI-ish. So I am bilingual, French and English, and I work in Quebec. So all of my stuff has to be available in English and French. And sometimes my French brain does not want to play. So I had been previously using just, Google Translate to throw stuff in. But my grammar nerd in me was like, well, that's not exactly what I want to say. And then I would forget how to fix it. So I discovered a new tool called DeepL, DeepL.com. And it's a translator that lets you tweak the translation output. So I'll throw something in English, I'll tell it to translate it for me in French, and then I can click on each individual word choice essentially and have it retweak or offer new suggestions. So it's a way for me to get a more natural tone out of my translation. So I would highly, highly recommend it to anyone else who has to work in 2 languages.
Great for camps that do a lot with international staffing.
Or international campers as well.
Yes, exactly. Wonderful. Great tool. Thank you. Okay, great. My tool of the week, weirdly, is Claude.ai. That's CLAUDE.ai. And you're going to hear a lot more about Claude because the tech world is talking more about Claude than ChatGPT. And so that's going to migrate into the rest of us soon. And it does give you, I am in the middle of building a complete virtual assistant for me. And the stuff it can accomplish gets a little more and a little more every day as I start feeding it little things like the style documents and that sort of stuff along the way. And just yesterday I said, what else do you need from me to become a better virtual assistant to me? And it's like, oh, okay, I could really use these things. I'd prioritize these 2 things. And if you get a chance, give me these. I was like, okay. And all of these things, you get better results when you pay for them. And so average payments usually about $20 a month, which the amount of time that it would take you to save $20 worth of camp's work in you is about 15 minutes of use on Claude. And so any of these services I do recommend you pay for them because the memory is better. You get a few little things better that you don't have to repeat yourself quite as much, and you just tend to get less of this what they now call AI slop answers, which is the kind of middle of the road stuff that Chris was talking about. And so pay for AI, I think Claude's a good investment right now. And I am probably going to be dropping my ChatGPT subscription, which has been my primary for probably 18 months for kind of political reasons, and just that Claude is so much more effective at this thing. They have a new service in there called Cowork, which is to work as a coworker with you and take on all these things. So that is my tool of the week.
So as we dive into the end of the episode, I just want to remind you that this isn't the only podcast on this platform. We've got a lot of them. And one you should definitely check out, First Class Counselors. Listen, do you want to know how to better hire, train, and evaluate the most important employee at your entire organization? Then you had better listen to First Class Counselors. Check it out. Check out all the podcasts, but that one's great.
Thank you very much. And I really appreciate that. Kate, thank you so much for being on the show. We're
Thanks
grateful
for having
to you.
me. This is a good time. Always.
Yeah. How can people follow up if they want to get in touch?
Well, so my work email is kate@stephanrichard.ca, because I'm working with Stephan Richard Development Consulting at the moment. So that's the best way to reach me.
That's great. And if spelling Stephan Richard feels intimidating, go to camphacker.tv/podcast and look for the show notes, search for Kate's name to find her contact information there. But thanks for being here, Kate.
For sure.
Chris and I want to take just a sec to thank the sponsors of this week's episode, as well as our editor, Ryan Vandertorn, and Go Camp Pro's executive producer, podcasting, Matt Wilfred.
Thanks for the evening, friends.
The CampHacker podcast is brought to you by Beth and Travis Allison, summer camp leadership training and marketing consultants. Thanks for listening. CampHacker, bringing your world into focus.